Sweeto.
Good morning. Oh my goodness. Is it morning or is it still the middle of the freaking night? This is the Road to a Million show. I'm Daron C. Campbell, your real estate mentor, your accountability partner, your passenger on the road to a million with you. We're all going together. Where? To the top. And we got an exciting day today. We got a very exciting day today. But I'm going to tell you some stories, but today is a cool day because we're gonna dive deep into an area that I think a whole lot of us need to learn more about, and that is the land of insurance and other financial products. Now, you guys know I'm a real estate dude, tried and true, top to bottom. However, in order for you to be diverse and complete and financially balanced, you got to know about some other financial products. You need to know about insurance. You need to know about annuities. You need to know about things that will enhance, preserve, and multiply your wealth. And so we're going to dive into that because I got a special guest coming in today in the second hour who's going to talk to us and drop some wisdom on us like you've never heard before. So that's a cool thing. And then we got a little bit of tidbit of information to do what we set out to do on this program, which is enhance and grow your brain, your body, and your bank account. And that's what the Road to a Million is all about. This is Road to a Million. RoadToAMillionShow.com is where we live. I'm Daron Campbell. I'm your real estate mentor, and we're gonna have a lot of fun, people. I'm excited. Now, you might wonder why we came on the air a little bit late. It's because I broke travel rule number 1. Okay, I went to New York. I had to help my daughter, Alexis. She's buying some property in New York. How about that for kudos? She's buying her first property in New York City. So I went there with her to inspect the property. That went brilliantly. Oh, that's great. But I broke the rule that I promised you guys I would never break. What's the first rule of flying? No connecting flights. If you can avoid connections, avoid them at all costs. Guess where I spent the night? In the Charlotte freaking airport. Charlotte, North Carolina. Do you know that airport closes down about 10 o'clock? My flight was supposed to leave at 8. It left at 2:30 this morning. So when I tell you I came to the show screeching up here from the airport, trust me, it's been a long journey. But I'm here. I made it. I had to get here. My Road to a Million crew is always faithful, always reliable. I knew you'd be here. I expected you. I'm glad you're here. We're going to have some fun today. So if I look a little bit jet lagged, it's because I'm really jet lagged. If I look a little bit sleep deprived, it's because I'm sleep deprived. But that's not going to stop me. The Road to a Million is still my mission. And hopefully it's yours too. Hey, Lutanya, what's happening? All right. So today our guest will be here in a little bit. But we have some other stuff to talk about before that. So we're going to dive into money, wealth, and life insurance in a little while. In the meantime, I decided that there's a couple of principles I want to go through, and then there's some physical stuff I want to go through. People, I was traveling, obviously. I was back east, and it's interesting. It's interesting. I don't know what made my mind go there, but there are so many people in a lot of places around this country that are fighting the battle of the bulge. They're battling with their weight, and they're battling with how to maintain a healthy weight and how to lose weight to get down to a healthy weight. And so weight loss is on my mind, ladies and gentlemen. Weight loss is troubling me because there are so many overweight, out of shape, unhealthy people. And then I guess when I go to the East Coast and the Midwest, I get reminded of it a little more vividly because it's hard. It's not that easy to find healthy stuff to eat, or maybe a better way to put it is you are surrounded with terrible ways to eat. And so it put weight loss on my mind. I just, everywhere I went, there were people who were like sadly, extremely overweight. I'm not saying there's not overweight people in California. That's not my point. There's plenty of them here. But man, for some reason, when I go back east, I see so many people who are in need of getting a more healthy lifestyle from a physical fitness standpoint. Maybe the weather keeps people from getting out and exercising as much as you might. The weather's starting to get cold back there. And so, it's becoming prohibitive, I guess, for some people to get out and about and walk and run and bicycle and do all those things. And so I decided that maybe we ought to put a little bit of, in the coming months, since it's wintertime, the next few months, we're going to spend some time on the physical, getting in shape, that body part of the 3 Bs. It could be the most important one, because if you feel good and you are fit and you have a certain amount of energy that is required in order to do a lot of things in life, then you got to get that in balance so that it relates to everything else. Think about it. If I'm sickly, or if I'm way out of shape and I can't get around, I can't be nimble, I don't have a lot of energy, then I can't fulfill the other parts of the deal. The body is critical to the other parts of the deal. If the body is sick, then my brain doesn't function at its optimal level. And then if I'm 200 pounds overweight, then I don't have the energy to do the work that I need to do to get my bank account where it needs to be. You see why that's so critical? And that's why I think we're going to spend a little more time on it. I'm going to do this. I'm gonna do some case studies and share them with you guys, and then I'm gonna do some research and share it with you guys on different ways to get your body in shape. And that'll involve nutrition and diet. That'll involve exercise and physical activity. So we're gonna spend a little bit more time on the show trying to get those things going. And so you might say, Daron, well, what do you know about that stuff? And what does it have to do with real estate and the road to $1 million? I'm just here to tell you, number one, I'm no expert. I'm no fitness guru. Matter of fact, I tweaked my back in the weight room a week ago, so I'm still taking Advil to try to get straight with that. But I'll tell you this, a consciousness about your need to stay in shape is the first step. And so what I want to do is maybe raise some of our consciousness and get to a point where we're feeling better about ourselves, we're feeling better about our physicality, we're feeling better about our health, and then maybe that'll turn into some energy that'll help you throw something extra at the making money game and at the financial growth game, and then it'll help your cognitive function. That brings me to the first little point I wanted to make. I was researching, kind of as a first line of research and definition I want to share with you guys is the study of the ketogenic diet. There are so many people who are trying to change their physicality and change their health by taking on a ketogenic diet. And so for those of you that don't know, the ketogenic diet is one that de-emphasizes carbohydrates. It encourages you to cut carbohydrates and sugar from your diet in a big way, reduce those dramatically to the point where it's like you should be taking in less than 50 grams of carbohydrates each day. And then the emphasis is on healthy fats and protein. And the ketogenic diet says you should go heavy on healthy fats, avocados and coconut oil and things like that, because there's a big claim that keto makes, and it is that fat doesn't make you fat. And there are some healthy fats that are good for your heart, omega-3s, fish oil, those kinds of things that are good for heart function. And that healthy fat it helps your body get into fat burning mode. Now, the ketogenic diet is named ketogenic diet because the idea is to put your body into a state called ketosis. Now, I'm no scientist, so I can't get into the technicalities of how ketones work in your blood, et cetera, et cetera. I'll bring in a doctor to tell us about that in a few weeks. But when you put your body in ketosis, I can tell you this for a fact. When your body goes into ketosis, it starts to burn fat for energy instead of carbohydrates. You see, if you consume a bunch of sugary products, and we talked about one of my favorite books, The Sugar Blues. I tell you, sugar is the devil. We talked about that before. When your body stops taking in loads of carbohydrates and loads of sugars, then the body turns to fat to burn for energy. And that's what we really want. We want our bodies to burn fat for energy instead of sugars and carbohydrates, because fat is what the excess that we want to get rid of on our bodies. If you want to look lean and lean, thin, healthy, cut, however you want to define it for yourself, you need your body to burn fat and lean out instead of burning the carbohydrates that you consume in mass. So the ketogenic diet is a very, very recently popular, but very effective method for burning body fat. Here's the cool thing about the ketogenic diet. The ketogenic diet, I told you, it de-emphasizes carbohydrates and sugars, meaning you're basically going to cut out sugar and flour and sweets and candy and some starches like white potatoes and those kinds of things. And it emphasizes, healthy proteins, chicken, fish, turkey, steak, even bacon and things like that. Pork is allowed, all of that, and really, really good intake of good fats, almonds, avocados, guacamole, coconut oil, things like that are considered healthy fats. Omega-3s that are in fish and fish oil, those are healthy fats, and the ketogenic diet encourages you to consume more of it. As a matter of fact, the ketogenic diet believes that cheese and butter and things like that are good for you, that you can consume those all you like, as long as you're not like intolerant or lactose intolerant. Those are healthy fats that you can consume. Interesting, right? And I'll tell you this. You could preach about stuff all you want, but I have seen evidence of no less than 50 people who've lost 20 plus pounds on the ketogenic diet in less than 2 months. I personally lost 22 pounds in a 60-day period a few years back, just going strictly ketogenic, low carb, good, healthy proteins and healthy fats. The crazy thing about it is a lot of people, when they hear the word diet, they think starvation. Oh my God, I got to starve myself. I can't eat normal food. The cool thing about the ketogenic diet, the stuff that I told you can eat as much of it as you want. Now, again, gluttony is a bad thing no matter what. So I'm not saying go out there and eat a tomahawk steak every day for dinner. But I'm telling you this, it's saying, hey, you can go ahead and eat that steak. You can go ahead and eat that burger without the bun. You can go ahead and consume significant amounts of food as long as it's protein. The emphasis is on the fat and the protein, and the de-emphasis is on the carbohydrates. And I was reading an article. I went and checked out, when I do some research, you know how I get my information, right? I go and I read and I read and I read and I read, and then I come back and I try to encapsulate it and make a concise message for you guys, and then I share. And so I got this magazine. This is called Paleo Magazine. Let's see if you can see that, Nick. Paleo Magazine. And this is the keto edition. It's the definitive guide to the ketogenic diet. And the funny thing is, as I'm reading about the ketogenic diet, I know it works for weight loss, but it also has been found that, look, keto is being validated by respected science as a way to boost cognitive function. So it's saying your brain's going to work a little better as a result of trying to cut the carbs and enhance it with good fats and things like that. I'll tell you this, you see, and that makes sense. You know why? Because things like fish oil are known to boost cognitive function. And you want to know what the other side of that coin is? And if you read the book I told you about, The Sugar Blues, sugar causes brain fog. So if you're confused and not clear and not focused, a lot of times it's because of what you've put in your body. You got brain fog. You eat all that sugar, all those sweets, all those cupcakes, all that candy. 30 minutes later, your glycemic index has gone to the moon, and you got brain fog. And then you come crashing down after the brain fog. So you don't think very clearly when you got the brain fog. You come crashing down, and your energy's gone, zapped. And the ketogenic diet is trying to promote steady glycemic function, no spikes and dips, so you don't come crashing down from any meal, and no brain fog from sugar, which is a drug, basically, and it clouds your thinking. So there's not a whole lot bad I can find about this ketogenic diet. And the fact is, it absolutely helps your body turn into a fat-burning furnace. So I'm gonna bring on a ketogenic expert and tell you more about it. Again, this is a way of thinking about fitness and diet. It's not the only way. There is no only way. Let me tell you this. Here's what I found in my life. There is no one way. There's no the only way to do anything. There are people who have made billions of dollars doing things that seem insignificant, and there are people who made billions of dollars doing things that seem like super complicated. There is not just one way. And I want you to remember that. I want you to think about it, because the fact is, however you get yourself into physical shape or physical fitness or a state of high health, I don't care how you do it. You should just do it. Make it a point to do it. Look, we're coming down to the latter part of the year. 2019 may have been what you wanted it to be. It may not. I can tell you this. I missed on a few of those objectives and goals. But you know what? The great thing is that they were goals, and they'll continue to be goals, but I made some progress in every department. I didn't hit them all. And by the way, the year's not over, so I'm not done yet. But I didn't hit all my goals, but they're going to roll over. I'm going to continue to pursue those goals until I hit them. And you should be thinking the same way. And so your body, your fitness, your health, your longevity plays a role in that. You got to be conscious of the fact that you got to be in shape. Because look, what good is the road to 1 million if you're not around to enjoy it? Does that make sense? We need you here so that you can enjoy the spoils of what you learn. Put my notes over there. On the road to 1 million. Does that make sense? If I get you down that road, we get together down that road, and we achieve all of our objectives on the road to 1 million, but we got cognitive heart failure, and we're only going to live 2 more years because we ate the wrong things and fed ourselves the wrong way and didn't exercise at all. What good is any of it? What good was any of it? Was it any good? Come on, ladies and gentlemen. This is a team effort. This is something we got to do together. This is some place we got to go together. Does that make sense to you? I'm interested in seeing you be the complete you. I'm interested in seeing you be absolutely at your best. And physicality makes a difference. This ketogenic diet is something worth looking at. Particularly, I was just reading that particularly for people who are seriously overweight, like more than 30 or 40 pounds overweight. Here's the thing. It's very difficult to go on a soup diet or go on a cabbage diet when you're used to eating, 2,500, 3,000 calories a day. So a great transitional plan, in my opinion, is one that allows you to eat plenty of food, but food that is going to promote weight loss, food that's going to promote fat burning. And the ketogenic diet, ladies and gentlemen, it fits into that category. You can eat eggs, you can eat bacon, you can eat chicken, you can eat fish, you can eat steak, you can eat turkey. It just de-emphasizes the things that create the bad stuff. Fat is not bad. Carbohydrates can be bad if you overconsume them. Sugar for sure is bad. I don't even in any amount is not great. And the food industry has conspired to make us consume things that are profitable to them. Does that make sense? Why would they keep pumping sugar and high corn fructose, by the way, which is a bigger devil than sugar? High corn fructose. That's what it is, right? High corn fructose syrup. Check the labels of everything in your cabinet. Anything with high corn fructose in it, throw it away, ladies and gentlemen. I've read multiple studies that say it's like sugar on steroids. I am not joking either. They say high corn fructose is like it's to food what crack is to the drug business. It's like the difference between an aspirin and crack. High corn fructose is horrible for you. Now, they use high corn fructose in the average can of soda. Let's just use Coca-Cola as an example. I read a study that said that the average can of Coca-Cola has the equivalent of 12 teaspoons of sugar in it. Can you imagine that? 12 teaspoons of sugar? If you put 12 teaspoons of sugar in your coffee, your head would blow off. I mean, think about it. It's an absurd amount of sugar. And you wonder why we have a diabetic epidemic in this world. The fact is, we have a diabetic epidemic in this country because we have been fed far too much sugar. And as the advocate for the people, as the self-declared people's champion, I'm declaring war on sugar and high corn fructose syrup. Those things are killing us. They're making us sick. And here's the thing. Here's the unfortunate byproduct of how this thing works. Those products are cheap, and that's why they put them in so many consumer products to sweeten them up, because they're cheap for the manufacturers to make. And unfortunately, the lower you go on the socioeconomic food chain, the more those things become a bigger part of the diet. Does that make sense? Okay, so people who don't, at the very, 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 very top of the food chain, wealthy people, really rich people can hire a chef and they can eat nothing but fresh, organic foods because they can afford to. And then as you come down the socioeconomic ladder, the poorer people get, the cheaper the foods they consume. And the way the manufacturers make food cheap is, how do we sweeten this cheaply? High corn fructose, let's inject it with that. How do we make this, and by the way, they know it's addictive too. So they know you're gonna get addicted to it. The idea, have you ever eaten something manufactured and you just found that you couldn't stop eating it? Like some forms of chips, some forms of snack foods. Did it ever occur to you that there might be a reason that you just can't stop? I mean, I've been there before. I've been in freaking for me, it's like Pringles potato chips or Lay's sour cream and onion chips. I could eat the entire container, and I don't know why. I could sit there and I could eat 100 chips. Now, that doesn't make any sense, does it? But they have done something, that ingredient is so powerful over my brain that I become addicted to it. I just can't. I will eat the entire Pringles can, or I'll eat the entire bag of Lay's potato chips. Why do you suppose that is? Do you know that the body was built to consume food for energy and use that food for energy, just enough for the energy for the day or what have you, to get rid of the waste, and then you should be hungry again, several hours later, ready for the next healthy meal. But what's happened now is manufacturers have gotten in the game. They're making food that has addictive nature in it. So high corn fructose syrup is known to be an addictive, so they ought to call it a drug, but it's known to be an addictive additive. So we got to declare war on this kind of stuff because it's killing the regular folks. The people who got, the ability to afford all organic fruit and can pay their cook or their chef to prepare it for them. Great. Congratulations. I love that. But we can't all afford to do that now, can we? And now, so what we got to do is start making more healthy choices so that they provide more healthy choices. I drive through certain neighborhoods in different cities, and I see fast food joints absolutely everywhere. I mean, everywhere. I was just in New York City, and I was on I stopped at, my Uber driver stopped at one stoplight, and I just looked, and there was a fast food joint on all four corners, and there were two others that weren't on the corner, all within 50 yards of each other, all selling primarily fried products. And I'm telling you, this wasn't in the high-end part of town. This was in a little more of, where the regular folks live. And you know what they sell? They sell cheap, unhealthy food, by and large. And we just got to do something to turn this thing around, you guys. And if I sound like I'm on my soapbox, well, guess what? I guess I'm on my soapbox today because I'm sick of seeing so many of us, lose the battle with health. I think I told you guys a few weeks ago, I have an aunt who just recently had 2 strokes, diabetic-related strokes. And why? Because I think she's been the largest consumer of Pepsi Cola of anybody I've ever known in my life. I remember as a kid, she would drink Pepsi instead of water. That was her water. And the fact is, she just consumed and consumed and consumed, and she just had 2 strokes last week, all related to the diabetic thing. So we got to turn this thing around. You can't, what good is being wealthy if you die of a heart attack at 62 years old? What's the point? So that's my soapbox today. Listen, if we don't deal with your brain, your body, and your bank account, you're going to be lopsided. What the hell is it all for if you die an early death? So that's what we're talking about. So we'll get more into the ketogenic diet. I'm going to bring a ketogenic expert in here in the next few weeks, and we'll talk more about it. But right now, we're going to go to a break. We're going to come back with my special guest, and so it's going to be fun. So stay tuned. This is about to get exciting. I'm Daron C. Campbell, the hardest working man in real estate, your real estate mentor, and I'll see you in 2.2.
Sweeto.
Test, test, test. Test, test, test. Can you hear me in your headphones? And say something in yours.
Hey, test, test, test.
Can you hear me? It's a little far away, Nick. Is that... Like that. Oh, you don't have to lean in. Okay.
Can we bend it like yours?
It's the other way. Yeah. All right. Oh yeah, it catches. You could be back here and it catches it real good.
Okay, perfect.
All right. You count us in, Nick. They can see us right now. That's my tribe right there on Facebook Live. We are back. We are back. Look out. It's about to get exciting around here. If you were bored, you better wake the hell up because we're about to drop a little wisdom, a little science on you. We are back on the Road to $1 Million show. I'm Daron Campbell, the hardest working man in real estate. You're a real estate mentor. We're all headed to the top together. How do you get to the top? You learn from people. You learn from experts. You learn from the people who know a little bit about something that you don't know about. You should be collecting mentors. I collect great people. And then they teach me what I need to know. You see, if you rely on yourself and everything you know, how far do you think you're going to get? But there are people who know things about things that you don't know about, and you should be collecting those people. Part of my tribe is my main man right here. This is Marty Sasson. Everybody say hi to Marty Sasson. Good morning, Marty.
Good morning, Daron. How are you?
I am fantastic. Glad you are here. This guy has taught me so much. This guy is like, we become fast friends, so we can get in a lot of trouble together. But he has taught me so much about growth, about money, about access, about insurance, and about, you want him to get closer, Nick? Okay, so let me just tell you a quick story. I was in the real estate business, hustling. I was selling apartment buildings. I'm like, that's how I'm gonna make my freaking fortune. I'm gonna sell apartment buildings. I'm gonna buy apartment buildings. I'm gonna syndicate apartment buildings. I'm gonna grow my wealth. And then I got introduced to Marty, and he's like, well, how you planning for the long term? How you planning for retirement? How you planning for if something happens to you or your wife or, God forbid, what if you drop dead? What if you got sick? What if you got ill? What if you couldn't work? What if you fell off of a cliff? What if you what if you crashed on your skateboard? What then? I was like, I didn't think about any of that. He goes, you need to sit down with me, my brother. And so then I sat down with Marty. The guy has sold me my very first life insurance policy and done a myriad of other things for me. And we're just glad to have you here, brother.
Thank you. It's good to be here. I mean, all the evolution of all of the decades that we've been friends and
right?
All the good times we've had together and all the good times we're going to keep having. God willing, we're going to make it and stay alive and be alive and have fun and retire and have a good time. And that all takes planning, though, and you need to plan ahead. People don't fail to plan. They plan to fail. And they don't look at the underlying effects of not doing the planning, like having the right documentation, having your tax planning set up, having your investments set up to benefit you in the most efficient way, and protecting yourself in case you do get sick or hurt, and have income protection to replace your salary in case something happens to you. And it's especially important for professional people to do that because they went to school for 8, 9, 10 years, and they learned all these, different techniques to doing what they're doing. And if, God forbid, they get hurt, like let's say an orthopedic surgeon, he breaks his finger and he can't operate anymore, well, there goes his career.
Yep.
So he needs to have income protection to protect him in his own specialty, that in case he can't work anymore, he's still going to derive income every month, tax-free, for the rest of his life.
Now, that was big. See, that was big for me because I was young and I was full of energy and hey, I'm going to live forever and I'm invincible. I used to call myself Superman. But the fact is, a lot of times we don't plan for the unknown. We don't plan for the future. And the funny thing is, this is a conversation he and I had about 25 years ago.
Yeah.
Okay? Now, 25 years ago, it seems like 6 months ago. But it's been 25 years since we had that initial conversation. And the fact is, time is flying like that, ladies and gentlemen. And so if you're not making plans for what happens at retirement, for what happens at, the point where your kids are ready to go to college or ready to buy their first home, then you're being selfish, and two, you're being foolish. So now, Marty, the first thing you put me into was a life insurance policy. Now, a lot of times people think, well, I don't care what happens after I'm dead because I'm gone. And then
Right. Well, they don't really understand life insurance because life insurance has living benefits.
Bingo. That's what I wanted him to talk about.
Not death benefits. It has supercharged living benefits, meaning that it's one of the most advantageous products that you can put your money in because of the tax advantages of life insurance. Under Section 101A of the Internal Revenue Code, life insurance has favored tax treatment unlike any other investments. It has a component to it that's savings, and then it has a component to it that's risk.
Now, see, people don't know that.
No, they don't.
People don't know. If they hear life insurance, they think, well, that means my wife is rich if I'm dead.
Right. I'm going to get nothing out of it. And
that pisses people off.
I have to die for something to happen.
And you know what I first thought when you told me about it? I was like, wait a minute. You mean to tell me if I die, she's rich? What the heck?
Right.
He's like, no, you don't understand, man.
No, you don't understand because it's really if you live, die, or quit. So if you buy permanent life insurance, it's one of the only investments that grows tax-free. Your money grows tax-free like a pension plan where you're not paying tax on the growth every year. So assume you put in this money in this plan and you have $1 million sitting in your cash account in the life insurance policy. And that money earns 8% this year. That $80,000 of interest that money earns is tax deferred. You don't pay tax on that money. And then now you have $1 million.
Slow down, Tonto. Hold up. Now you just blew my people's mind. And so we gotta go slow on that one. So you mean to tell me that there's a way I can purchase some type of policy early while I'm young, and at a certain point I can derive income from it and not pay taxes on that income?
That is true. You can actually take out your money tax-free by having the cash value accumulate, and then when you go to take it out, let's say you put in $1 million and it's worth $2 million. The $1 million that you put in is money that you've already paid. So that money, you paid tax on that money. So when you withdraw that $1 million, you cannot be taxed on it again. But
okay, wait, you just blew my mind with all those zeros. What if I put in 10,000? Could I grow to something?
Same exact concept, no matter how many zeros you add. Whether it's 10,000 or $10 million, it's the same concept. And the money grows tax deferred. When you pull it out, the gain you can pull out tax-free.
You hear that? No. Ladies and gentlemen, that is a savings vehicle like no other.
Exactly.
Say it again, Marty. Tell us one more time.
All right. So you put in your money and it grows. Whatever you pull out above your cost basis or whatever your deposits were will be tax-free. And the way to achieve that is through loans. Loans are tax-free on a life insurance policy. Just like if you have a home, just like in the real estate business. You buy a house for $1 million, it's worth $5 million. If you sell that house, you have to pay tax on $4 million or capital gains tax. But if you go and take a loan on the house for $3 million, loans are tax-free. So we use a lot of tax-favored and tax-free products in financial planning because the more you keep, the more you have. If you have to pay the IRS, then that money is gone forever. If you get to pull that money back out, tax-free, it's your money. It's your family's money. And one more point.
Go ahead.
The death benefit is tax-free. So if you don't get to where you want to go, like let's say you put in, $10,000 and you have $1 million policy and you die, your beneficiary will receive that $1 million income and estate tax-free.
Now, you know why that's huge? You want to know why that's huge? Because I sell a lot of property for heirs, for people who've inherited property. Yeah. And the reason I sell a lot of that property is because they get into financial difficulty as a result of owning the property. They can't pay the taxes. There's a million other things. If that parent had a policy for those 30 years while they had that house, then the insurance proceeds that went to the kids would help them handle what they inherited in the property, right?
That's true. They could use it to pay the mortgage, or they could use the money to pay off the mortgage, so they don't have a mortgage anymore and they'd own the property free and clear. you'll never pay as much premium as you're going to get back in death benefit. So you might pay $100,000 over your lifetime to get $1 million death benefit, and if something happens and your family collects that money and pays off that note, then now they have $1 million free and clear.
So now let's say, for instance, so I lost my mom 3 years ago, and what I regretted at the time of her passing was that I had the ability 25 years ago, 30 years ago, to have bought my mom a policy inexpensively, huh?
Yeah.
So when she was 40, I could have paid for the policy,
Yeah.
just to protect her if she lives long, and to protect me if she doesn't.
That's correct.
Does that make sense?
That's correct. And we do a lot of parent-child life insurance policies where the children will buy life insurance on the parents, sometimes as an investment, because they know they're going to get all that money back tax-free, and there's no other vehicle you can get your money back tax-free. There's only certain things that are tax-deferred and tax-free. Everything is taxable. Rent is taxable, capital gains are taxable, interest at the bank account is taxable. There's only a few select things that are tax-deferred, like your pension plan, like your home, like annuities, like life insurance, and there are only very few things that are tax-free, like life insurance and tax-free municipal bonds.
See, that's huge.
Yeah,
That's huge.
There's not a lot out there, and you have to know how to navigate the financial world and pick the best things, because the more tax efficient it is, the more money you get to keep in your pocket and not the IRS's pocket, because once it's gone forever.
Wow, that's deep. You know, I'll give you guys a great story. I just sold a property for someone, and they had inherited the property, and the house has been in the family for 45, 50 years. It's owned free and clear.
Yeah.
And the heirs of the property want to immediately sell the property, and it's because there's financial things that came with the death. And like for instance, I had to pay for my mom's funeral with cash out of pocket.
Yeah.
There are a lot of things. She had a property, the property taxes I have to pay out of my pocket.
Yeah.
There are all these things that are implications that happen as a result of someone's death. So the home I just sold for somebody, it was $1.1 million, but there's a whole lot of implications that come with the selling of that home that a life insurance would have helped soften the blow for. But here's the thing you guys got to remember. If you got parents, a lot of people have parents who've owned their home, lived in their home for 25, 30, 35 years. And you think, okay, one day if mom passes, that'll come to the kids. But now then some new responsibilities happen, right?
Yeah, there's obligations.
Exactly.
You got property tax payments, you got if you have a mortgage, you have mortgage payments, you have utilities, you have maintenance costs, you have all kinds of obligations. So where is that money going to come from? You have a need for capital because you need to pay those bills. So just because you inherited the house doesn't mean you got a chunk of cash with it, and you need cash to maintain that property until you sell it or refinance it or whatever you're going to do of it. Keep it, whatever you want to do. So,
and that's the thing. See, here, hate to cut you off, but here's what I see a lot of people, what happens to a lot of people. They would rather not sell mom and dad's house.
of course.
But they can't afford to keep it.
Yeah.
Because, okay, wait, I got this house and there's a bunch of equity in it, but mom and dad still owe $250,000 on it.
Right.
And there's property taxes every year of $8,000.
Right.
And there's insurance that has to be covered. And then there's maintenance and repairs that has to be covered. Now, sentimentally, you don't want to sell mom and dad's house, but financially, you get forced to.
Right.
Life insurance can be the cure to that.
And if you don't have all your documents in order, like your wills and your trusts, and you might have to go through probate if you want to sell that house. So the house might not transfer to the person that you want it to transfer to, especially without a will, because we have intestate laws in California. And if you die without a will, the government will tell you how the property is going to be split up. It might be 1/3 to your spouse, 2/3 to your children, and it might not go to the proper beneficiaries. So it's very important also not just to have the life insurance and have some capital coming in to offset those costs, but also have your documentation in order and have your wills and your trusts in order and avoid any court proceedings.
Now, now my people, when they need this they want to set this kind of thing up, is it you they would call to get all of that in order? Do you have people who you'd recommend to them to draw up the trust or draw up the will and then put them in the proper insurance policy?
We do the financial planning, and we're like the quarterback on the team. We take the people out to do we offer the insurance products, we offer the investment products, but we don't do law. So we go to the lawyers to do the law. We go to the pension actuaries to do their pension plans. We have a team of people that we use that are in different specialties and bring all that together and look at the full picture of the client and make sure that all of their wealth management issues are solved. There's 13 wealth management issues. There's investment planning, there's tax planning, there's risk management, which is insurance, life, health, disability, long-term care insurance. There's business succession planning. So people have different needs depending on who it is, and we look at the full picture and find out where they are today, where they want to go tomorrow, and what's the best way of getting there using all of this knowledge.
So this is important, you guys, because if you're like me, we're all, our parents, many of us have parents that are into their 70s and 80s and beyond. And there's an eventuality that's gonna happen. And I'm here to tell you, and from my standpoint, I do a lot of business because a lot of the parents of people our ages are passing on. So I do a lot of real estate business as a result of it. But in 95% of the cases, there could have been some better planning, some earlier planning. If you talk to somebody like Marty to put together a plan, a global plan that will make your life easier after these things happen. Does that make sense?
Makes 100% sense. You have to plan ahead, and you have to get all your stuff in order and sit down with a professional, whether it's me or somebody else, and make sure that you're looking at all these things and that they're guiding you in order to take care of your family and your estate. And they're helping you with your retirement planning. They're helping you with your insurance. They're helping you get your documents in order so that you have an orderly transfer of your assets to the next generation or whoever you want to benefit, whether it be your family, your parents, your children, or a charity. And it's very important for you to have everything laid out and spelled out, and it needs to be revised and reviewed every year or two. You can't just set it and forget it. This is not something, it's a moving target. It's always moving, and you're evolving and you're changing, and your life is changing, and things happen in life. And so you need to plan ahead for those uncertainties and also for the certainties, like retiring.
Yeah.
A lot of people are not understanding how bad it is that America doesn't have enough capital to retire. It's like they underestimate. There's a couple rules of thumb that I'd like to share with the audience.
We're going to get into the rules of thumb after we take a break in a minute. Now, we're gonna also talk about how people sit down and maybe talk to mom and dad about how to get things set up. Because I'll tell you this, I told you I liquidate a lot of property for people who've inherited the property. But in almost every case, mom and dad didn't necessarily want the property to go equally to all four kids because, there's 2.5 responsible kids, and then there's Pookie and Ray Ray over there messing up, and they don't need to have 25% ownership of anything because they're nothing but a problem. And so you got to plan for these things. And so we're going to talk to Marty about how to plan for these things. We're also going to talk to Marty. We're going to get into these rules that can help you with your retirement. You see, not enough of us are thinking about retirement, and it's coming. You see these gray hairs? It's coming. Yeah. So
it's coming quick.
We're gonna try to help you get ready for it. We're gonna take a quick break. We're gonna take a 3-minute break. We're gonna come back with my man Marty Sasson. We're gonna tell you some more about retirement planning, financial management. Get yourself together. Get your stuff together. I'm Daron C. Campbell, the hardest working man in real estate. Your real estate mentor. We'll be back in 3 minutes.
Sweeto.
Good stuff, good, man. Very good stuff.
I'm a little nervous, but
Nah, you do. on the Road to a Million, roadtoamillionshow.com. Road to a million. You know what that means? That means we're going someplace big, baby. We're on the road together. We're doing it. I'm Daron C. Campbell, the hardest working man in real estate, your real estate mentor. I'm sitting with my man, Marty Sasson, insurance financial guru. This is the guy that taught me about life insurance 25 years ago, made me understand the importance of why you got to plan financially. You got to plan. Ladies and gentlemen, the future is coming, like it or not. Life goes on, and it goes fast, and it goes faster and faster the older you get. If you fail to plan, you are planning to fail. And so we bring people like my man Marty in here because he's an expert. I bring in experts and gurus so that we can teach you something you might not have otherwise known. Surround yourself with the greatest experts you can find, and you're going to be okay. My man Marty and I are talking about financial planning. How important is it, Marty?
It's so important because you work so hard and you don't want to get to the end of the line and then have nothing. So you have to pay yourself first. And when I say retirement planning is important because if you make, $100,000 a year and you're 35 years old, for example, and you work till you're 65 years old, you're going to make $3 million. What are you going to have at the end of that, though, to show, for yourself, and what are you going to keep of that money? Most people spend their money first and then they try to save the balance, and there's usually nothing left over. Instead, you got to pay yourself first and then spend the rest, because if you don't do that, you'll never have money put away for the future. And there's a rule of thumb, and this is the rule of thumb we were talking about earlier, that to retire, you need 25 times your current income to be able to retire. So if you need $100,000 a year, 25 times that is $2.5 million. If you take $2.5 million and put it in a bank account, for example, at 4% interest, well, that generates $100,000. So there's no magic when it comes to numbers. The numbers don't lie. You have to put the money away. And if you don't put it away, you're not going to have anything. So the key is to put it away, and then you can talk about what kind of investments and what kind of, products or recommendations you have to do that.
So when you say I should pay myself first, is something like an insurance product, a vehicle?
Insurance policies, pension plans, things that have tax benefits to them, that the government is actually offering you an incentive to put your money away in these products, like an IRA or a SEP IRA or your 401k. People overlook the fact that they have like employer-sponsored plans where the employer might match, for example, a contribution. So if you put in 4% of your salary, they'll give you 4% match. Well, when that happens, you just made 100% return on your money. You can't make 100% of your return on your money anywhere.
See, now that's mind-boggling. Ladies and gentlemen, if you got an employer who will match you dollar for dollar with the money that you put into your retirement or pension or SEP or whatever it is, your retirement plan, he's saying he's going to give you $1 for every dollar you put in. Just go show me where you can get 100% return on your money like that. I can't even get you that in real estate unless we do something crazy. The fact is, that is almost impossible to get. And I know some people who aren't maxing out their opportunity.
No,
and they got a boss who will match them dollar for dollar.
Yeah, they have a gift horse looking them in the face, and they won't do it because they spend more than they earn. And that's the problem, is you have to learn how to save first and spend the rest. If you spend first, there's usually zero left over because that money is burning a hole in your pocket.
Yep.
And there's always stuff to buy. There's always distractions. There's always emergencies. There's always things that come up in life. And as my father would say, and he still says, save your money for a black day because a black day will come. And I've had 100 black days. I've had 100 emergencies. There's always something that happens. And thank God, I was able to put money here and put money there and put money away in different vehicles and different investment vehicles so that when I needed it, I could tap into that and use that as a tool to go through the hard times, because it's not always good times. Life goes up and down. And there are times when you can save money and there are times when you lose money. So you got to put it away while you can and while the going is good.
As a black man, I can tell you there's lots of black days out there for some of us. And so let me tell you this. If, Marty's got a great point. If you pay yourself first and that money's gone, you know what happens. You know, if you got $12 in your pocket, you know something comes up that's for $11.95. You know that's how it works. So if you put the money away, pay yourself first. You get a great financial vehicle like the types of products that Marty's talking about. You put that money away first. First money is to you. That's going into your long-term plan, and then you live on the rest. You live on the rest. You adjust your life so that you can survive on the balance, because the eventuality is coming, and that is you're going to want to retire. You're going to want to slow down. You're going to want to chill a little bit, and if you haven't put anything away, how are you going to do it?
Yeah,
you're not gonna.
Yeah, I mean, I started in this business when I was 21 years old. I'm really lucky that I was able to get into the field of financial advising and financial planning, because it taught me all the things that I need to do to take care of myself and my family, and I did it first. Before I went to my clients, I did it first for myself, because if you don't take care of your own things, how are you going to help anybody else do it?
Bingo.
And, you know, going back to life insurance for a minute, life insurance is so amazing. It's one of the best financial vehicles out there that very wealthy people use to leverage and accumulate more wealth. So, for example, if a guy's got $100 million, you can only give, you know, $11 million tax-free to your beneficiaries. Let's say you own all these properties, right? You own apartment buildings, you own shopping centers, you own whatever, industrial, and you die, that money does not go to your family all tax-free. There's inheritance tax on that money. On $90 million, there would be a $36 million tax, which is due in 9 months. Now, a lot of people don't know that, number one, especially some of the wealthiest people, and they don't have liquidity to pay $36 million. So they might have $2-3 million sitting in cash, but their money's tied up in their business, in their real estate, in whatever they're doing at the moment. And as tax advisors, as tax attorneys and CPAs, we use life insurance as a tool to pay those taxes with pennies on the dollar. So you might pay $4 million for $40 million. Why would you want to pay 40 when you could pay $4 million in premium and transfer that risk to the insurance company? So there's different uses for life insurance.
Let me ask you this: if somebody inherited mom and dad's house, and property values have gone up like crazy over the 30 years, and somebody inherited mom and dad's house, and this is worth $1.2 million now. This is a real life situation I just helped somebody with. Do they owe the taxes on the equivalent of $1.2 million in 90 days?
No. It depends. If you die and you get a step up in basis, which is a step up in your cost. So let's say the parents bought that house for $100,000 and now it's worth $1.2 million. When you die, you get a step up in the cost basis to $1.2 million. If both parents died, you would get a double step up in basis. So you would sell that property and there'd be no income tax on it. But what you said earlier is really important. Like, let's say you want to keep it, but you have $5,000 a month in maintenance costs,
right? And
you can't afford to come out with another $5,000 out of your pocket every single month. Then you're going to have to liquidate that asset.
You got to sell it.
Yeah, you got to sell it.
And so that's something you guys you got to start talking to your parents about. You got to start talking to your brothers and sisters about, and you got to start thinking about for yourself and your kids, whatever your situation is. You know, I preach home ownership, and a bunch of you guys call me up and say, "Hey, DC, let's go. I'm ready to buy some property, and I'll help you buy that property." But you got to plan intelligently for all the things that are to come. So a guy like Marty should actually come with us when we close that on that property, because then you need to put the proper insurance in place so that that house is protected. One, if you and your spouse should pass away, God forbid, but it's going to happen, or you or your spouse get disabled, it happens. And so you got to plan for these things. And so you not only should own real estate, but you should own the things that protect your real estate. And that's why we need experts like my man Marty. You say, Daron, I'm ready to buy my first house. Let's do it. Let's do it. Let's go. You follow all the advice I've been giving you all these months. You say, let's go. I go, hey, there's one more expert that needs to come sit down with us. Because when you close escrow on that house, we also need to make a budget, one, for you to protect that house. Number two, for you to protect that house in the event you need to retire or get disabled or sick in some manner.
You want to protect that investment, because so many people lose their investments because they didn't do the planning. Yep. In the end, what are the 3 Ds in real estate, right? You got disability, death, and divorce. The 3 things that most people don't plan on, and now all of a sudden they have a fire sale. Yep. You know, and they have to pay the taxes, so they have to liquidate all their property at a fire sale. And you don't want to do that. You want to have the planning in place so that you have to have all the contingencies covered, so that in case you die, live, quit, whatever, your stuff is in order and you're organized and you have your paperwork in order and you have all of your titling in order. Titling and beneficiary designation is another very important and critical thing on how you take title to property so that you can actually get that double step up in basis. Because if you live in California, we live in a community property state, and you're married and you die, and you and your wife gets the property, for example, right?
Yep.
You only get a half of the step up in basis. When she sells that property, she would have to pay tax on half of the gain. But if you have that property in a living trust, when one person dies, both halves get a step up in basis, and if she decides to sell that property, there's zero income tax. So it's very important how you structure your holdings, your real estate holdings,
That's
and all
big.
your other investments as well. And you have to have the right titling, and you have to have the right beneficiary designations. And people don't check this stuff. They just go on forever. Like, they don't remember what they did 20 years ago. And you need to review your plans every 1 to 3 years and look at what your new goals are and make sure that everything is still the same. Are these the people? Do I still like these people?
Right.
Do I still want to benefit these people?
Right.
Are they worthy of it? Or is there somebody else that could do better?
Pookie and Ray Ray don't need to inherit that house.
No, they need somebody to manage the money for them
That's
because
right.
they're going to lose it anyway. You know, so you have to be careful with how you're structuring everything and preserve your life's work.
I like that. I like that. It's very important stuff for us to think about, ladies and gentlemen, and plan for. Now, isn't it true that, you know, the earlier you put these things in place, the cheaper they are?
Yeah, much cheaper. I'm going to go on another rule of thumb. It's called the rule of 72. And if you take your interest rate and divide it by 72, it'll tell you how fast your money will double. So if you can earn 6% on your money, it'll double every 12 years. So let's say you put in $100,000. In 12 years, it'll be worth $200,000. In 24 years, it'll be worth $400,000. And in 36 years, it'll be worth $800,000. Now, imagine if you missed one of those compounding periods. You have half of the money that you could have had because you didn't start when you were younger. So when you're younger, let's say you're 25 and you want to retire at 65, it's like putting in a ping pong ball. It's a couple $100 a month. It's not really bad. When you're 35, now you got to put in $500 a month. When you're 40, you got to put in $1,000 a month to get to that goal. And the older you get, the more money you have to put in to get to that goal because you don't have the time value of money. You don't have the magic of compounding interest.
Ladies and gentlemen, compounding interest is
A miracle.
It's the eighth wonder of the world, okay?
It is.
You got to understand that. That means save today, get compounding interest every day, and you wake up one day and that money is so much more than you've deposited. It's amazing. So the key is pay yourself first, and then pay yourself inside of a vehicle that will help the money compound itself, and then it grows exponentially, right?
Right. Especially life insurance is a super charged way to accumulate money because you're not being taxed on the earnings every year, so your money grows faster. So if you're not paying tax on that money, let's say you had $100,000, you made 6%, you have $106,000 earning interest. If you made $6,000 in a bank, you'd have to pay tax. You'd be left with $4,000.
That's right.
So you'd have interest earning on 104 instead of 106. So the tax-deferred vehicles and tax-free vehicles are a supercharged way for you to accumulate more money faster.
I love it. So that's kind of how we're gonna start to teach you and encourage all of you to have your money, have different pots for your money.
Exactly.
That's important because the pay yourself pot is just as important as the saving and investing pot. I'm going to teach you how to buy apartment buildings, buy real estate, invest in this, make a cash on cash return. That's one pot. That's an investment vehicle. Real estate is my favorite investment vehicle.
Yeah.
But you better bet I better have a long-term compounding interest insurance related pot that I pay first when I get paid.
Definitely.
It's-
And you could use insurance as a bank account.
Absolutely.
You can use your policy, and instead of going to the bank to buy a house or instead of going to the bank to buy a car, you can actually take money out of your contract and loan the money out of your policy to yourself.
That's right.
Sometimes it's 0% interest rates.
That's right.
And so people don't understand the magic of insurance, and there needs to be somebody like me to explain it to them and explain to them the different vehicles that are available out there.
Check this out. I have a client who, could you silence your phone? Marty's phone is always blowing up. He's got all these clients blowing him up. Now that's somebody saying,
nonstop.
That's somebody saying, why are you giving away our secrets? I told you, I'm showing you behind the curtain, ladies and gentlemen. So listen to this. I have a client who bought a $4 million insurance policy when I first started in the business 27 years ago, right?
Was that you?
Shh. No, so 27 years ago, this guy buys a policy. Until he told me about it, right? Today, that guy has about $3 million that he pulled from that policy that he lends in the hard money lending game.
Oh,
and
really?
he makes 12% on the money that he borrowed from himself to loan to other people.
I like that strategy. I've never used that strategy.
That
but
word
that's a great
called
strategy.
arbitrage, ladies and gentlemen. He borrows from himself. I think it costs him 2% to borrow from his policy. He lends it to real estate investors at 12%. But wait, it was his money, but he borrowed it, but he didn't diminish the value of his insurance policy.
No, he didn't diminish the value of his insurance policy, because if you have $4 million of insurance and you pulled out $3 million and you die, you'll get another $1 million. You still get $4 million.
You still get $4 million.
Depending on the kind of insurance, you could actually get $7 million. You could have $4 million of death benefit plus the $3 million of cash value. If you have an increasing death benefit, they'll give you not only the insurance amount, but the accumulated value as well. You'll get both. Tax-free.
Do you hear me talking, ladies and gentlemen?
So you can use life insurance as your own personal bank and have, supercharged saving. It's so good that the IRS puts a limit on it. There's a limit on how much you can put in, because if you change the ratio from cash to insurance and there's no more insurance, the whole investment becomes taxable. It becomes something called a modified endowment contract, a MEC, and you don't want that to happen. So we fund these policies up to the MEC limit, and then have people take out their super duper retirement money tax-free. And I'm doing this for younger people right now. My daughter's in the business. She's 27 years old. She's been in the business for like a year, and we're going to see her friends who are millennials. And some of them are doing well, and we got them putting in $1,000 a month, $1,500 a month, and they're pulling out millions and millions and millions of dollars tax-free when they retire. Like,
Think about that,
they put in
ladies and gentlemen.
$700,000 and pull out $5 million.
So listen to
Tax-free.
this. If you are under the age of 35 and you don't have life insurance, you're missing the boat, ladies and gentlemen, because it's so cheap when you're under the age of 35, and it's cheaper and cheaper and cheaper. The younger you are, the cheaper it is. You can put a little bit a month away just as a throwaway. Don't even think about it. You put that $200, $500, $1,000 a month away. Put it on autopilot, right? You're going to retire one day. You're going to want to retire one day. You do this in your 20s. I can't tell you how many people regret not having done this in their 20s and their early 30s, because by the time they turn 55, 60, they can pay themselves. You can annuitize that money too, right?
You can annuitize, or you could just withdraw income, whatever you want to do. You could have lifetime income. You could have joint and survivor income. You could also set up the death benefit like that for your spouse. Like, for example, if something happens to you and you don't want them to get a lump sum, they can take the money over a 10-year period, a 20-year period, instead of taking it and blowing it. They can have fixed income for the rest of their lives, and that's important. So those are called settlement options, depending on how you want to settle the contract. So you can take lump sum, you can take 10-year, 20-year, or lifetime income. So that's important to know.
So if you're a young professional, young couple, just having, just got a couple of kids, you're young, maybe you just bought your first house, maybe I'm about to help you buy your first house, you also need to be thinking about what's going to happen to this house and our money as it relates to our kids. Your kids might be toddlers. Trust me, now is the time to start thinking about this.
Yeah.
You're thinking to yourself, well, I'm nowhere near death. I don't need to talk about life insurance. This ain't about death, ladies and gentlemen. This is about financial intelligence, financial planning for your future, being able to retire.
And starting young, because of the reasons we just said about the time value of money on compounding interest. And since you're young, you can lock in that rate for the rest of your life.
Now, that's what's important.
When you're 25, to buy a policy, it might cost you $2,000 a million. When you're 40, it's $10,000, and when you're 70, it's $40,000 a million, and it's forever. So
forever.
the sooner you get in, the better it is. And you might not be able to buy it later. You might not be healthy. You might be uninsurable. It doesn't matter how much money you pay.
That's right.
If you're uninsurable, you can't buy insurance at any cost.
At any cost. So look, so check this out. While you're young and you're healthy, insurance is both cheap and it is the smartest thing you can do from a growth standpoint for your money. It's the smartest thing you can do for your kids. It's an intelligent move for you to make. You need to look into it. You need to understand why this is so important. Time goes on, and you're going to want to slow down, and you're going to want to stop. And what he just said is so hugely important. If you wait till you're 50 to start thinking about life insurance, number one, it's going to be expensive. Fair. Number two, you may not be in the best health in order to get it, and it's harder to get when you're older and less healthy. Some people have been turned down for life insurance, so you can't always just buy it.
No, you cannot. I've had many clients who've been turned down, and unfortunately, sometimes at a very young age, they don't know what they have, and they do an exam, and then they realize they had some issue, and they can't get coverage.
Yep.
You know, even in their 20s. So, you know,
it's worth checking out.
You do it when you're young, and you have to see if you're insurable, and use it as a tool. It's one of the tools of wealth management, and it's one of the best tools because of the tax advantages. That it's a quadruple tax advantage. You have tax-deferred growth, you have tax-free withdrawals, you have an income tax-free death benefit, and if you structure it properly and you have a taxable estate, it could be estate tax-free as well.
You hear that, ladies and gentlemen? See, now we're looking behind the curtain. Okay, I'm showing you behind the curtain and showing you this is a little bit more advanced wealth strategy. It's easy to think surface. I need to buy a house. I need to buy a rental property. But it goes a little deeper. And a key thing Marty said that I don't know if you guys heard, and this is important, because when I first met Marty, I was 24 years old. And it was very, very, very easy and cheap for him to sell me a $4 million insurance policy. It was cheap.
Very cheap.
Now you wake up 20 years later and try to buy that same policy. Way different world. And the key is when you buy it early on, the payment or the amount that you pay for that insurance never changes. Okay? You lock it in when you're young. You get to keep it till it's paid off. So we're gonna take another 2-minute break, and then we're gonna have the final segment. But when we come back,
we'll talk about paying for it.
Well, let's talk about paying for it. But then I want you to explain really quickly the difference between term, universal, and whole, and anything else I'm not thinking of.
No problem.
Cool?
Cool.
Ladies and gentlemen, I'm sitting here with my main man, Marty Sasson, financial planner extraordinaire. You're on the Road to $1 Million show with Daron C. Campbell, the hardest working man in real estate. We will be back in 3 minutes. 3.
What's that? hear me? Yeah.
And we are back. That beat is popping. Nick just got the original beats popping. We are back on the Road to a Million. This is the Road to a Million show at roadtoamillionshow.com. I'm Daron C. Campbell, the hardest working man in real estate, your real estate mentor. And I'm sitting with my man, financial guru, expert, multi-billion-dollar sales of insurance, financial products. I don't even know if I'm saying it right. This is my man, Marty Sasson.
Hello, everybody. Nice to be back. Yeah, we've been able to offer billions of dollars of insurance to our clients and help them preserve and maintain their wealth and their assets. And it's very important planning, multi-generational planning for our clients. And I wanted to get into the different types of insurance real simply and give a little overview on
But
the
wait,
types.
let me tell them why this is important. Number one, my man Marty is like, he flies up in the clouds in the stratospheres that some of us haven't touched before. Some of his clients, they'll say, "Hey Marty, jump on my jet and come over here and meet me in Monaco and write up my next financial plan." He operates on that level, but the same dude came and sat with me in my cubicle at my first real estate job and helped me carve out a $112 a month policy. So he does them big, he does them small. He's done billions and billions. Nobody's too big or too small for my man Marty. What we're going to talk about now is the different types of life insurance. You might go, Darren, okay, well, what kind of life insurance? My mind is blown. Some dude said something about whole. Some other lady said something about universal. Some other lady said, you don't need that. Just get some term. Talk to us. What are the different types?
There are different types and there are different needs for insurance. And so it's not, people don't understand that it could be expensive or it can be inexpensive. For example, there's something called term insurance, which is just, it lasts for a certain term. You could buy a 5-year contract, 10 years, 20 years, 30 years, even a 40-year contract. But let's say you buy a 30-year contract because you want to use it for mortgage protection. You bought a house and you have a 30-year loan, and God forbid you die, you want that loan to be canceled, and you buy life insurance to cancel out that mortgage, to pay it off.
Okay. That's what you mean, pay it off.
Right.
So term life is about what happens if I die.
Exactly. It's only got a death benefit. So if you die, they pay off, and then you can use it for anything, income protection, or you can use it to pay off your mortgage, or pay off a loan, or pay off a building, or buy a business, or whatever need you have for capital.
So early on, I didn't have a whole lot, but I had a wife and I had some little kids at home.
Yeah.
And I was the breadwinner. And so what Marty and I sat down and decided that was we needed to protect the family, the house, the income, in case something happened to me.
Exactly.
So at that point we bought a term life policy on me.
Right, just to cover you for cheap when you weren't making as much money as you are today.
Correct.
So in the benefit of having term insurance is a lot of people don't understand how inexpensive it is. If you're 30 years old, you can buy $1 million of insurance for maybe $500 a year.
A year.
Fixed.
You hear that?
Fixed.
You hear
for
that?
20 to 30 years.
I'm telling you, I'm not joking. When I was like 24 years old, the guy sold me a few $1 million worth of insurance, and it was $112 a month.
Yeah, it was.
It was $112.
It was inexpensive, and people don't realize it's less than a cup of coffee a day to have your family protected and have your assets protected. They think it's for somebody else's benefit, but it's actually for your benefit and preserving what you've worked for your whole life. You don't want to work your whole life and then have your money be liquidated and gone, your legacy be gone. You want to preserve that for people or for a good cause.
That's right. That's right.
So term insurance, the other benefit that it offers is it protects your insurability. So let's say you can't buy permanent insurance. Permanent insurance is insurance that lasts longer than 20, 30 years. It could last you till you're 120 years old.
So when you say permanent, does that mean I can own it? And
permanent insurance is like owning a house, and term insurance is like renting an apartment. So term insurance, you pay and pay and pay. You don't have any equity built up. And if you die, you win. If you don't, you lose. It's like renting. So when you pay rent, you don't build any equity. You don't have any tax advantages when you pay rent.
You just get the use of the house.
And when you leave, you have nothing.
Right.
Okay? Permanent insurance is like buying a house. You have tax advantages. Your money grows tax deferred. You can use the equity in that house. to live on or borrow, and you can borrow the money from the cash value of the permanent insurance. And when you die, your beneficiary will receive that money income and estate tax free. So permanent insurance offers benefits like owning a home.
Okay, so now, but define permanent, because now some dude called me up and said I got whole life.
Well,
and some lady called me up and said I got universal.
There are different types.
Like, I don't want universal, I want the Magic Mountain kind. She's like, no, that's not what I mean.
Yeah,
So tell us.
There's different types of permanent insurance. There's flexible premium products, and there's fixed. Fixed is whole life. Whole life has been around for 200 years.
Aha.
It's guaranteed, and it says whole life because it lasts you for your whole life. And no matter when you die, that policy is going to pay a death benefit, guaranteed. And the one thing about insurance is we're all going to die. So if you buy a guaranteed policy, there is going to be a payoff, no matter. So
now, when you say buy that policy, and you say permanent, is there a day on which I can stop paying and
yes,
I own it?
Yes, there's different types of products, and you can pay 1 year and be done forever. You could pay 10 years and be done forever. You could pay 20 years and be done forever, or you could pay over your whole life if that's what you choose. You can accelerate those payments and build more cash value up front by paying more than what's necessary, and have that just be a super duper,
So I could do
savings
sort
account.
of a pick a payment plan.
You could do that with whole life. It's a fixed premium.
Mm-hmm.
It's a guaranteed premium for life. It's a guaranteed cash value for life, and it's a guaranteed death benefit for life. And in 1973, they came out with different types of products called Universal Life. Universal Life is a form of permanent life insurance, but it's flexible. It's got a flexible premium, it's got a flexible death benefit, and it's got a flexible cash value. So you could say, okay, I'm going to pay $5,000 a year, and then I'm going to pay $20,000, and then I'm not going to pay anything for 5 years, and then I'm going to pay another $30,000, and then I'm going to stop paying, and I'm going to let the insurance go as long as it can before it collapses, or it might be enough to keep it forever, depending on how much you put in.
So that flexibility allows my financial situation to evolve and not necessarily lose or give up the policy?
Exactly, and that's important for younger people.
Right.
Because younger people are just starting their careers. They don't know where they're going to be tomorrow. On average, people are changing their careers every 7 years, and they don't want to be locked in to anything, and they want the flexibility and the option of being able to change and readjust. The other thing about universal life is you can go up or down on the death benefit, and you can't do that with whole life insurance. So if you buy $1 million of insurance, let's say, and you've had that for 20 years, and now your kids are out of the house, and you don't need that much protection, you could lower the policy down to a minimum of $100,000, and have all that cash value keep accumulating with a lower death benefit. So you can adjust for your insurance needs, and that's important.
So now if I'm young and I got growing kids and I want to protect the house and the kids and the spouse in case I pass, that's one thing. But now you flash forward, the kids are done with college and it's just me and the spouse and the house is paid off. Then does this kind of policy allow me to turn some of that insurance that I was using to protect everything into money into my pocket?
It does, because you can lower the amount of insurance, which lowers the risk, and then more of the money that you're paying is going into the savings element and less towards covering that cost of insurance.
So I can sort of have the best of both worlds. When I'm young, I'm hustling, the family's growing, I need to protect my life.
Right.
When I'm older, they're kind of on their own. I need some
Income.
additional income.
Right, and you can use that policy as supplemental retirement income, and you can use it tax-free. Think about your IRA or your 401k. When you take that money out, it's going to be taxable. You're going to be taxed on that money. You might have to pay a third in income tax. Where this money, you're going to get 100% back tax-free, and that's very important. And think about your IRA when you die. Let's say you have $1 million in your IRA when you die. When your beneficiary receives that money, they're going to have to pay tax on that money. So they might lose 30-40% of it. If you have $1 million of life insurance and die, they're going to get that whole $1 million tax-free.
Nice. Now, oh wow, that's pretty heavy duty. Now, so in the scheme of things that you just told us about, which do you lean towards one particular product over the other?
No, it just depends on the client's needs and what they're looking to achieve, and if they're buying it for income protection, or they're buying it for retirement supplementation, or they're buying it for estate planning. Some people are more comfortable buying everything guaranteed. They're like CD type investors where they want a guaranteed return. They want the money guaranteed in the account. They want everything to be guaranteed. Other people are willing to take a little bit more risk and use universal life or index universal life and use the market, but not have the down of the market. Like they can capture the up, but not the down. So there's ways of protecting that. There's also variable life insurance where you're investing in mutual funds, and whatever you make or earn is what you're going to have for the cash value. So there's different ways of crediting the cash value that's in the policy, either through the fixed account, through the indexed accounts, or through the equity side of the business.
Now, I just read an article where General Motors is going to lay off 20,000 people and then make them some kind of settlement offer because they can't afford the pension plan that they promised the people. Yeah. Now, is this a good way to hedge your bet if you're an employee and you've been planning all this time to have a pension and you don't know if that company's even going to be around in 20 years?
Definitely.
Is this a good hedge against that?
It's a very good hedge against it, and it's a very important hedge because Social Security might not be around later for the younger people. And, you know, and if they're counting on it, you might have nothing. Like, look at GM when they went bankrupt, you know, through the financial crisis. And there's been people that worked there for, you know, decades and decades, and they lost their whole retirement account, or corporations who've gone bust and have lost all their money and they couldn't fund their pension plans anymore. You always have to put your money away for a rainy day in other diversified products so that in case, you know, the thing that you're investing in falters or fails, you have somewhere else to look, that you're not devastated.
See, we're in a very a dynamic society and economy, and things, you know, we're in the era of corporations and companies coming and going pretty fast.
Yeah.
You see how fast Blockbuster got wiped out. You see how fast Yellow Taxi filed for bankruptcy last year. You see how an industry like Uber or Netflix can come in and wipe out 110,000 employees at Blockbuster Video like that. Where do you think their pension is? It doesn't exist.
Yeah.
So you got to protect yourself in case, because we just don't know.
Definitely, you have to put your money away. And less and less companies are offering pension plans at all. They're not doing pension plans. They're doing 401k plans, but they're not really doing the pension plan because they're obligated to put that money away forever and give the employee a lifetime income. And that debt for the corporation is a huge burden for them. So they stopped doing it, and they're offering savings plans where the employee can put away his own money. And they'll let you, you know, some of them will match, some of them will not. But at least if you have the ability to be able to put that money away, like you can put in $19,000 a year in your 401k, and if you're 50, you could have a catch-up provision of another $6,000, and you could put in $25,000 of your salary and not pay tax on that money, and have that money grow tax-deferred until you pull that money out. And you could use that money as an emergency fund as well, because you can borrow up to 50% of the money in your 401k, up to $50,000, and pay yourself the interest instead of paying the bank the interest when you need the money. So with life insurance, you could borrow, you could be your own bank. With your 401k, you could be your own bank.
Ladies and gentlemen, are we dropping a little science on you today? This is my man, Marty Sasson. Marty, it has been fantastic having you on the show. Appreciate you being here.
I appreciate
it. You guys, look, we're trying to educate you. We're trying to teach you a little bit of something that you might not have otherwise heard anywhere else. It's been fun. Marty is going to come back. He is officially a regular on this show because he's going to help teach us some more deep things. We'll see Marty again. We'll bring him back. I was thinking maybe we bring Marty back every quarter to come back with his heavy-duty lesson to teach us something that we might not have otherwise known. This is all about the 3 Bs, your brain, your body, and your bank account. I'm Daron C. Campbell, the hardest working man in real estate. I am your real estate mentor, and I'll see all of you at the top. Peace.